Hello, my name is Frederick Mujira. I'm the founder of Water Journalists Africa and co-founder InfoNile. We all know that water is a basic need to prevent the spread of COVID-19 and other diseases. But even before the pandemic, communities across Africa's Nile River Basin were already struggling with lack of clean water and sanitation. With the Pulitzer Center grant, we wanted to explore more. In the midst of the competing crises, how were communities in the Nile Basin keeping themselves safe during the pandemic? Over 1 year, we worked with 32 journalists from the Nile Basin countries to report on their water challenges and solutions in a time of crisis, conducting data-based reporting in partnership with Code for Africa. Most of the journalists worked in pairs, collaborations between a TV, newspaper, or online journalist reporting in international language such as English, Arabic, or Swahili, and a local radio journalist often reporting in a local language. All of the journalists were enrolled into our inaugural data journalism training and mentorship program, where they were matched with expert data mentors from Code for Africa and went through practical training sessions over 6 months. Working with their mentors, the journalists were able to locate data, produce visualizations for their stories. We published stories on TV stations, radio stations, newspapers, and online platforms across the 9 countries in the Nile Basin. About half of the journalists investigated the reasons behind low levels of clean water and sanitation, and how the onset of the pandemic affected the access to water. These included topographic challenges in mountainous areas of western Uganda, access challenges in refugee camps in Darfur, Sudan, and the drop in water supply in Goma, DR Congo, where water imports from Rwanda were restricted due to COVID-19. Have Mukuru of Radio Upendo Kivu tells how he investigated the mismanagement of funds collected by the NGO Built Water Projects in eastern DR Congo.
D'abord, je suis parti d'un simple constat, d'un simple fait. Un habitant qui se lamente du fait qu'il doit payer près d'$1 pour avoir accès à une source d'eau. Pourtant, cette source d'eau a été aménagée par des fonds de dons des humanitaires. En rapport avec mon investigation, quand un habitant paye $1 pour avoir mensuellement accès à une source d'eau, $1 ça semble peu. Mais imaginez un peu s'il s'agit de tout un quartier. Et avec mon investigation, j'ai compris qu'il y a des gestionnaires qui détournent les frais des contribuables. C'est pourquoi certaines sources d'eau changent de gestionnaire régulièrement. Parce que une équipe arrive, bouffe l'argent et sort. On met une autre équipe. Et il y a d'autres gestionnaires qui gèrent ça à comité. Et pour preuve, la mise en avant de cette question a permis à ce que les bailleurs de l'aménagement de la source d'eau de Mouleke a mis la pression sur ce partenaire exécuteur du projet, l'ONG Hydraulique Sans Frontières.
About half of the journalists reported features focusing on working solutions. These included a loan program to construct rainwater harvesting tanks in Kenya, government wash programs in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, grassroots programs to install hand-washing stations in Kibera Informal Settlement, Nairobi, and drinking water stations in schools in Rwanda. Rana Al-Masri, an Egyptian TV journalist, explains how she covered her solutions journalism feature for SciDevNet on community water filtration projects that were helping villages access clean water in rural Egypt.
I searched more about one of the causes for this, high rates of infection, and I found that their water, because it was obtained from the groundwater, was not 100% clean. Later on, upon also further research, I learned that there were an initiative from civil organizations and also from the individuals in Nufega Ranvet who established their own clean stations to purify their water. When I went to Al-Munafega Ranvet, I was very open to anything I could face over there. I think the way I dealt with the problem, the way I investigated, the way I asked my questions, I talked with people, it helped me a lot to gain their trust. By gaining the trust of your resources, many closed doors can be opened. And this is one of the things that I would like to advise all the people who are doing solution journalism.
When floods driven by climate change displaced more than 200,000 people around Lake Victoria during the lockdowns, we reported stories on how lakeside communities in Uganda, Kenya, and Tanzania, especially those displaced into camps, were accessing water and sanitation. We found that climate change is worsening the existing water scarcity in the river basin. For example, communities that already struggle with access to water are even more at risk when faced with droughts and floods that harm water and sanitation infrastructure. When we asked, journalists told us that their solution stories had helped inspire other organizations to take up similar projects, such as the water purification projects in Egypt. Stories on displaced communities by floods in Kenya contributed to a new clean water program by the Busia County government. A story on wash challenges in Kabarole, Western Uganda, inspired the district health department and local NGOs to start latrine programs in the community, and the government started extending piped water to the area. Some of the individual stories also received national and international awards, including Henry Owino's feature for Science Africa and Hervé Mukulu's investigation for Radio Upendo Kivu, DR Congo. To complete the project, we produced an interactive map where you can view data on water accessibility, rainfall, and runoff in the Nile Basin and compare regions. See how to read the map here.
Click Stories to see videos, podcasts, and online reports by our journalists on water scarcity, flooding, and community solutions during COVID-19. Click on the Water Accessibility tab and select a sub-region to compare how different communities in the Nile Basin have access to clean drinking water. In the sidebar, you can see the overall percentage of households that use an improved water source and compare different regions. On the Rainfall and Flooding tab, you can see rainfall and runoff data back from the year 2000 to today and predictions up to the year 2035 due to climate change. Click rainfall or runoff predictions in the sidebar to see which areas are expected to increase or decrease in rainfall or runoff in the future, or those with red circles are expected to reduce, and all those with white circles are expected to increase. You can overlay rainfall and runoff expectations on the water accessibility map to analyze how areas with low or higher access to clean water are expected to change in rainfall and runoff, which presents both opportunities and threats. For example, more rainfall and runoff is expected in some areas of Western Uganda that struggle with low access to clean water.